Hey, this is Rich over at TVP Live in Orange County, California. Once again, here to bring you quick tutorials brought to you by Adobe Photoshop Elements Independent Tutorials Group. So get right to it. This poster has brought us a nice photo of a forest. It's actually a really beautiful picture. And his question is, how can we brighten the foliage? And I think he wants it to be like, extremely bright green, trying to keep everything else nice and colorful and rich. So I suggested maybe making a duplicate and then brighten that duplicate and then fade out between that and the original. I don't know if this is going to work, so let's give it a quick try. First, I want to make this one look um, a little bit. I'm going to add just a little bit of light, not much. I'm going to enhance and see what it does. Okay, so that's what it liked to do. I might actually use that for some of the second layer, but I'm going to undo that because that was obviously too much. I'm going to go to brightness and contrast, and I'm going to brighten it just a tad. I mean, just a kind of, because I'm losing, and maybe it's my monitor, I'm losing a lot of the detail in the tree stumps here. So look at the big thick one on the right side. If I bring it up, you can see all of that detail that we're not seeing. See that? If I really bring it up, obviously we don't want it to be that bright for most of the picture. And if I do just the contrast, that's going to make it darker. And if I do less contrast, it's going to muddy up the picture just a bit. So in this case, I'm going to bring up the brightness just ever so slightly. Just ever so slightly. That's like 25%. And on the contrast, I'm going to leave it alone at 0. I'm going to toggle this before and after, before and after. That's just so that it doesn't look ridiculously different between brightening up the leaves and leaving the rest of the forest. Because if you really brighten them up, it's going to look obviously like something is odd and different. So let's work with that for now. Hopefully you like that. Now I'm going to duplicate this layer, and I'm going to actually make a safety. I'm going to duplicate it one more time and lock that layer and bring it to the bottom, just in case I mess up. Now let's go to the top layer and brighten up the leaves to where we like them. So forget about what the rest of it is and think about just the leaves. So I'm going to go to my brightness and contrast, and when I brought the contrast down, it brought the leaves a little bit brighter. So can we do that without making it look fake? Can I bring this brightness up? See, I think that's what he wants to see, but I don't know how much. So I'm just going to do a little bit up like that and bring the contrast down a little bit. I don't want to lose the detail. So I'm going to just go back and forth till I feel comfortable with this. And maybe just make this a very subtle. So this was left at 3% up on the contrast and 34% up on the brightness, which brings the leaves, the pine needles a little bit brighter. You're not going to get anything in here on the left where there's just no sunlight. All this difference is only going to be where the sun is actually hitting for the most part. One more time before I leave this at 34, bring it down, bring it up. Maybe I will go a little bit higher. I'm going to go ahead and push it. If you don't like it, I can always bring it down. So I'm going to do something around here, 67. I like round numbers, so I'm going to take it up to 70%. So here's the before and after. Hopefully it's not too much for your likings. Next, to really, really make it pop, I'm going to cheat a little bit and go to my color, and I'm just going to play around with the saturation. Don't look at the bars, just take it all the way down, bring it all the way up, and then just kind of play back and forth until you see something that really pops at you but doesn't scream fake. And let's try about, I'd say maybe around here. I'm going to say right around here. And this is, I'm looking up here and it says 22%. I like round numbers, but this time I'm really confused whether it's going to be too much or not. So I'm going to go ahead and push it and just say what the heck. And let's take this to 25%. So If it's a little fake looking, I'm sorry, but that's just what it is. This is the before and after. And we're just doing that to make it pop. All right, so we like that. Let's look at the previous layer, the lower layer. That's what we had before. In order for that to mix with this, um, this whole picture is just going to have to be a little more saturated. So let's take the original and saturate it just a little more before we do our blending. And let's go to the color, saturation, and don't look at the bars, just bring it down and up and down. And I'm going to saturate it just a tad here. I mean, literally, I think it's 15%. I'm going to toggle before and after. It's almost not noticeable. Okay, now is where the magic happens. Let's bring our our top layer in, and now we want to take out the bright spots to just show the original. Let's grab an eraser and let's make it a really, really huge 500 point. See how big that is? And I'm going to zoom the picture out a little bit so I can go beyond the picture. Sometimes you need to erase way beyond it. So let's grab our eraser again. Let's do 250. Here's 250 point. And we're going to go to the top layer and we're going to erase that top layer, showing just the bottom layer left over. And it's going to bring it back down, the contrast, the lighting. And now I want to go up the trees, but I have to make this a little bit smaller. So I'm going to have to resize each one of these and just literally just go from a line and just draw that up. Boom. And it brings it darker. Make it smaller, make it 100 points for this little area here. And we'll draw that back down. Let's go bring that half the size to 50 point. Let's go 75 point to get. So I'm going from biggest tree to smallest tree. Now I'm going to avoid some of the leaves areas so that this really pops through. Anything else around here? I'm just trying to grab tree stumps, tree trunks, wood, and leave the leaves alone. This whole little area. It's too dark actually. Let me undo that. So we're going to leave that a little bit brighter. Let's bring this contrast back down here. Go to 65 point to get this tree. No, nothing there. Let's go 55 point. We like that. And just grab. Actually, let's just draw the whole thing. And let's go 45 point. Let's go 35 point to grab the smaller ones. And it's making these stumps really contrasty, which is really nice. A great call on this to make everything else pop out. And obviously what you're seeing here is 100%. We're going to actually do a little blending after that. And I think we pretty much got everything that we want. Let's go 25. If I want to see what I'm missing, I can just turn off the lower layer and grab, oops. It doesn't have to be perfect as long as it's pretty close. Because you know why? Nobody knows what's missing. Let's go 20 point. If they don't know it. And it's funny when I do these sometimes, and I'll go back and see like something like this, totally missed this whole tree. I don't want to get too much into the leaves. Oops, that's going off for that one. Let's go 25 point. It got a little bit thicker. 30 point. Go from here to here. I don't want to do too many straight lines because it'll be obvious. 25. Better to be organic and do it by hand. If it goes off a little bit, that's okay. Oh well. Oh well. Kind of missed some of these. the leaf spots. Boom. Okay, we got most of this. Okay, now the magic is going to be to differentiate between our foreground and our background. And let's go ahead and zoom back out. This is our template. Bring in the front, oops, bring in the background. So now we got the leaves a lot brighter, kind of like he said he wanted. But it's a little bit obvious in some parts. You can go in and do some touch-ups if you see some spots that are a little bit too bright, and you can darken them. And then also, let's take our top image. If you turn it off all the way, the opacity, and bring it back, you see the difference from before, after. I think this is what he was looking at. He wanted the leaves to pop out. But I'm not going to do it all the way because that's so obvious. So I'm going to bring it back to the bottom. Don't look at the bar. Look at the picture and start bringing it up little by little until you like it. You know, it's going to be too fake if you go all the way. If you go too little, then you go back to being dark and drabby. So let's just bring it up a little bit. I mean, even that's good. But I'm going to just pop it a little bit more. Boom. And I'm going to say somewhere around there. This is telling me 31%. I like round numbers. And I know you want subtlety, but you know what? You asked for it to pop. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump it up to 35 point. And now we see the before, after. And the only thing that's really changing is the leaves. The trees are for the most part staying the same. A few of them are getting a little brighter, but I think that's what you're looking for. And that's pretty much how I do it. Let me go ahead and, I'm going to go ahead and pop this up to 45. Boom. And there we go. The only thing I'd say is there's a few little muddy spots here, and there's not that much we can do about that. This is the best we can do in a short period of time. We could also play with the stuff up here and change the colors and contrast, but I think we're okay. That's it for now. Rich Tamayo here at TVP Live, calling it quits for this session. Hope you enjoyed it. This is TVP Live, calling it quits and over and out.